This is Jackson Snyder with Jackson Snyder Presents, and I'm presenting today 9/11, Vesuvius, and the new interpretation of the Revelation.
Part 2.
We're going to jail, man. Like, let's go. All we will do is move forward, and if they lock us up, we lock it up, and God give us the breath to keep going. Let's go. Get out of here, man.
You are about to experience Jackson Snyder Presents. We will examine the life of our Master Yeshua by discovering his ancestors, family, and friends, by reviewing rare ancient manuscripts, and speaking to those who know him best. From the Vero Essene Yahad, now experience Jackson Snyder Presents.
My name's John Schoon, and my presentation is 9/11 in Revelation, and we're going to go over some Bible verses in Revelation, and we're going to compare them to the 9/11 event, and hopefully you'll see some similarities. Look not back at 9/11. You look at how much different the world is now, and you can't deny that this is an earth-changing event. It's a game changer. The whole thing. I mean, we started 2 wars over it. Now you got the Muslims in an uproar. They're coming over here. They're all over Europe, and they're killing people.
You got TSA. You got Homeland Security. No, you didn't have these things before.
They call that the Freedom Tower. Yet our freedoms get taken away more and more every day. Where's the freedom?
The Muslims have the freedom.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want. If you notice, if somebody's a Muslim, they don't have to worry about baking a gay wedding cake. Nobody asks them. Right. It's the Christians that get asked. And they get put up on, and cross-examined if they don't want to do it, or if they don't want to okay a gay marriage. So Muslims, they could care less. They're over here to chop off people's head. Not maybe now, but they're coming. They'll be coming one day, and they're doing it in other parts of the world. Yes. They don't have enough of a foothold here to start doing that. There's too many people running around with guns with itchy trigger fingers and Bibles. They're not going to do that here. And especially in Africa. African Christians being slaughtered by the millions. And what does the Pope worry about? Global warming, gay marriage, silly stuff. He's not worried about anything, the butchering of Christians going on.
They just had another string of killings in Oregon, and the Christians.
Yeah.
Christians were the ones that were targeted.
We're getting off a little bit on a tangent, so we got to get back.
Let's move along.
Yeah, let's move along. I think that's the end of chapter 11, and chapter 11 actually kind of concludes the first half of the book of Revelation. It kind of resets with the birth of Yahshua in chapter 12. Okay? And it's going to restart, so go ahead. Let's go to the next slide.
Let's go to this slide. You want me to go on now? Okay.
Well, yeah. Let's just go. Let's just keep moving ahead. Revelation 14. Now, I believe this is where we are right now. Okay? It begins with 144,000 in the chapter, which remember, my theology says they are a first century group. They've already been picked. They were from the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 each, mentioned in Revelation 7. Okay? They could not exist today. There are no more pure-blooded Israelites left. All their blood, unless, I can't imagine 144,000. They're literally, I mean, we've all been mixed in with the Gentile races. We still have Hebrew blood, but as Paul said, the Gentiles have been grafted in, and we're now one hybrid race. Remember about the hybrids.
This is a symbolic number. 12
Well,
times 12
that's what he thinks.
times 1,000.
I believe it's
literal.
literal. There were literally
way.
144,000
No way.
hand-selected kingdom priests, and they were indwelt. That's my teaching.
Well, I
okay?
know you're the teacher today. If
Yeah.
I'm keeping shot, or you and I will be on the floor.
I
rolling
believe there
around.
are 12,000 literal Jews and Benjamites or whatever, 12,000 from each tribe that were selected in the first century, and they were taken away by Yahshua.
Well, you know what I'm going to have to do on the recording? I'm going to have to put on the end
God,
of it.
say,
The management, this is not necessarily the opinion of the management or
Right,
even our
yeah.
opinion.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
But we're going to begin in verse 6 because that concerns the churches. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth. And that means, all people on the earth, not just Jews, not just Hebrews, not even just Gentiles, everybody. It's now open to everybody.
So you
the
believe,
gospel.
like me, that the gospel age is not now, it's then.
Well, the true age, see, there's the age, I don't want to get, we're getting off
The
on a
gospel is...
It's the gospel was the general gospel
Okay.
was preached for 2,000 years. It's polluted as it was.
All right.
It's wait a minute. We didn't finish. Okay, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Okay, and whoa,
That's everything.
what'd you do to me now?
I don't know who set that up.
I
Mike,
know it's booby trapped.
Mike probably.
Okay, Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, and see the Christian religion is starting to split up as we move through time. Go ahead. All right. Then you have the Protestant Reformation. Martin, this doesn't seem like it's in the right order. Okay, go ahead. Protestant churches, nice little country churches mostly.
A lot of steeples on here.
Yeah, a lot of steeples. Yep, crosses. Right there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them for a minute.
You're going to love the next one. Oh, no,
Oh.
not that one. More churches. You can just kind of go through this. This just shows how the churches. There's 40,000 different Protestant religions. Look at this, the mega churches now. Lakewood with Joe Osteen. Life Church TV. Saddleback. What's that guy's name? Rick Warren.
These guys are going to get big
All of them,
beatings.
big churches. It went from that little 12 apostles to all this. Okay, that's just kind of showing how, as polluted as it is, the gospel is still being preached. Okay, and I'll try to explain. And even the cults. I think some of the cults are actually a little more close to the truth than some of the mainstream religions. To be honest with you.
The Watchtower is a lot closer than any other.
I think these guys aren't too bad either in some things. I think everybody's got bits and pieces of the truth.
What is that thing?
Okay. Now, this puts it in chronological order. Remember, the gospel's already been preached to the nations for 2,000 years. The year 2001 comes along, the first year of the new millennium. Sing aloud. Fear El and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. That could also mean that, it's a duality. We were talking about the duality. That verse could be interpreted either way. Worship him that made the heaven and the earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. Okay, that made it. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. It says it twice. That great city, New York, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. How do you click that?
You want me to do
I'm
that?
Jackson?
Yeah, and I got
Okay.
we got a bunch of people on the conference center now.
Oh boy,
Okay.
getting hot in there, huh? All right.
It's not a lot of stuff.
Remember I said 9/11 fits chronologically,
Right arrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Art.
and I guess left if you got to go back.
Yeah.
9/11 fits chronologically. No, we're good right here. In Revelation 14, however, this event was so important in prophecy, a whole chapter is devoted to the event later in the book, in chapter 18. And we're going to go all through chapter 18. You're going to love it. The stage is set in chapter 17 with the description of the marriage of the great harlot to the beast. Okay. Revelation 17 now. I will shew you unto the judgment of the great whore which sitteth upon many waters. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and decked with gold, full precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her name was hidden Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots and abominations of the earth. Okay, described as sitting on the beast. Okay, Daniel the prophet foretold of the beast, and Bible scholars virtually unanimous agreeing that the identity of the beast is Rome and the Roman Empire. Okay, so who sits up there with Rome? The identity of the harlot is generally agreed upon as the Roman Catholic Church, at least by non-Catholics, which together with the Roman Empire combines to form the Holy Roman Empire during the 4th century. And it was a single act. It was a process. Okay, the church was falling into apostasy already, even during apostolic times. You know, the wolves were already about in sheep's clothing, trying to lead away the flock. By the 4th century, the apostasy was becoming full blown at that point. All right, if the RCC is indeed the great whore, she is also the mother of all harlots. And this is what you got to think of in verse 5. Who could these be? There's only one answer: the Protestant churches, various offshoots, Christian cults, which dominate the Christian faith. They all look at themselves in much the same way. They and only they are the true representatives of the faith, and all the others have gone astray. If you don't believe what we believe, you're all going to hell. You've heard that at many a church, I'm sure. If you don't accept the J dude in this life, if you wake up tomorrow, you'll be burning in the lake of fire. It's scare tactics, you know? And they pick and choose from the Bible what they want you to believe. They want you coming back. They want you scared out of your wits. Same thing with all these conspiracy theories and all this stuff floating around. The world's going to end, you know, next week, the weekend. You know, it's supposed to end the day again, right? So, I mean, this is the Sabbath. Yeah. Last I heard, it might have been October 7th. The mother of all harlots is depicted as sitting on the beast. Daniel the prophet foretold of the beast. Did I already get it? Yeah, I've already gone through this. Check. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Drunken. So she's not even in right control of her mind. She thinks that she's the one. She's the queen. Okay? And with the blood of the martyrs of Yahshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. He's actually admiring. You know, remember back to all the mega churches and all the followers they had. He actually is impressed, you know, that they've taken this little thing and they've made it into this beast, the whore riding on the beast, you know. So this is reminiscent of Paul's dire warning to the church, 2 Thessalonians. And then for this cause, the God of this world shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. That's true of virtually all churches. John wondered with great admiration. I've gone all through that. Okay. Satan has the church following not their El or Messiah, but himself. True of every Christian denomination. No exceptions. They all pray to the J dude, okay? They all celebrate Christmas, okay? And when you ask them to a person, oh, no, I don't celebrate Christmas. They all do. You know, even non-believers do, okay? And there's a guy in a red suit. He dresses up, and his name's an anagram of Satan, okay? He knows if you've been naughty or nice, you know, and Easter... The Easter bunny, what do bunny rabbits and colored eggs have to do with the risen Savior? Nothing. This is Ishtar, the fertility goddess, okay? Fertility in the spring, Okay? Has nothing to do with the resurrection. Has to do with fertility rites. And what happens 9 months later from the spring? December 25th, the birth date of pagan Roman gods. Okay? This is when they celebrate the Messiah's birthday. He wasn't born then. Shepherds weren't watching their flocks by night in December. So he's got them worshiping somebody else. They're calling on another name, worshiping other holidays, okay, and replacing vital theology with pagan Roman theology, all right, and Babylonian. It comes from Babylonia, all right, and you know we debate and we try to figure out a lot of it, but the truth is a lot of it is kind of lost and it's a little bit up in the air. That's why we need Yahshua to come back and lead us in the right direction, because so much truth's really been lost. Okay, and that's why we really need to be a little bit minimalist. And what it all starts with the name, call on His name, and obey His laws, and live your life the right way. And that's kind of like the message of the Yahad. Don't make a whole lot of extra rules and put a lot of traditions into it. We have the feast that we're celebrating now. That's in the Bible. That's in Leviticus. That's a legitimate holy feast. They're the holy convocations of our El, not these other silly holidays that Christians celebrate. Okay. All right, Revelation 17, continue. He saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill His will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman that thou sawest is that great city, okay, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. This is talking about New York. They've recreated Babylon in New York, okay? Where did the people come from that settled this country? All over the world, all right? Where did they come through? Ellis Island, passing the Statue of Liberty. When they came, they've recreated Babylon here, complete with the Tower of Babel, okay? Recreated in the form of the Freedom Tower after 9/11. They've recreated it right under everybody's nose. Nobody even realized it, all right? Statue of Liberty comes into play. Earthly depiction of the great whore sits on many waters. She sits in New York Harbor and welcomes in everyone from every nation. New Babylon, melting pot of humanity, undoing of Yah's actions at the Tower of Babel, which separated mankind into different races and language. All the political correctness, all the inclusive. You can't have any prejudice against anybody, and we should love everybody. But you're not even allowed to keep out your enemies. You're not even allowed to be selective on who you let into your country, according to that, because they want everybody here. They want this to be the new Babylon, and they want to dilute, if not stamp out, okay, the Adamic race and any form that celebrates Yahshua. Okay, people like us have to be their number one enemy. Okay, and that's what you have to realize you're up against. Okay, go ahead. And the original settlers to this country were pilgrims seeking religious freedom from the mother whore church, okay? And they were the daughters. And you know how daughters and sons and daughters, they rebel against their parents. They don't want to be like that. Well, when the pilgrims were finally they wanted to get away from all that. They were really trying to seek truth. But now they've been corrupted too, okay? Now that they're all grown up, they're just as corrupt as their parents, okay? They were sincere in their beliefs, seeking true light in a world of darkness. Those who came afterward, especially after the year 1840, remember that year, 1840, the Civil War, slavery's abolished, the Statue of Liberty's built, and the people that came were mostly for economic reasons. This fueled the rise of industrialism and American imperialism. Okay, English, a hybrid language, did not exist after Babel or at the time of the Messiah. Began to evolve as the old Roman Empire disintegrated, and now the prime language of most of the world. Okay, English has words which has entirely different meanings in other languages, and when English speaking people refer to or pray to deities in this language, they have no idea who they are speaking to. Okay, and it's a good guess who they're speaking to when you pray to somebody and you use a word in the English language. That's a hybrid language. It wasn't created by Yahuwah, it was created by somebody else. So when you speak in that language, you speak to who knows who. Okay? Yeah. All right, Revelation 18, we're finally here. Revelation 18 is a precise verse-by-verse description of the 9/11 event. Earlier chapters hinted at the 9/11 disaster with the seven thunders, two witnesses, and statement in Revelation 14, Babylon is fallen, that great city. This event is so important that RL devoted a whole chapter to it, sectioning off by itself so nobody would miss it. But apparently, just about everybody did, except me. Or I'm the guy who's nuts. Chapter 17 sets the stage for this prophetic event, which the Statue of Liberty looking out of New York Harbor, and you're going to see the whole thing unfold. Okay, chapter 18 in great detail. Remember, it's still the same vision foretold by Daniel in chapter 8, given to Joshua by his servant Yochanan, and is seen through the eyes of a first century Hebrew apostle, not a 21st century American. Okay, so now we're getting to the real meat here. After these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great power, cried mightily with a strong voice, Babylon the Great is fallen, the same as verse 14:8. That links the two verses. Become the habitation of devils, every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Is fallen twice, mentioned twice, of course, for the two twin towers. Habitation of devil. Many people saw images of devils and demons in the smoke, and we're going to see some pictures here. Cage of every unclean and hateful bird. What would a jet plane look like to a first century apostle? A bird. Okay? So go ahead. Next. All right. And is fallen for the two towers. Go. Here's one of the faces. And this was printed in the paper. Nobody even thought. And the next day they're getting calls saying, what are you doing? Is this some kind of Photoshop? And he's like, no. This is the actual picture that somebody took. Is this the face of evil? Some see not only the hand, but also the face of the devil. Okay? This could be pareidolia, yeah, if it's one or two, but look at this. It looks like some god spreading his arms out. This is where the second plane hit. You have this. It's all over the place. I think this one might have been a fake. I don't know. But most of them are real. And it just so happens, it looks like, you could say it's pareidolia. It's just coincidence, but they're there. That's all I can tell you is I can tell you what the Bible says, and I can show you these pictures. I can't say if this just isn't, something playing tricks or your eyes playing tricks on you. That's up to you to decide, okay? Go ahead. Unclean and hateful birds. They sure must have, you go back. That's what they must have looked like. And unclean jet fuel and yellow angry bird. I had to get them in there. Okay. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication. Okay? And you think about the World Trade Center and how it's symbolic of world trade, worldwide. Okay? It's a symbol. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich for the abundance of her delicacies. Think about all the protests about the Fortune 500 companies, how they're making trillions of dollars and everything. And, the poor kid who works at Walmart gets $9 an hour or whatever, is struggling, working 2 and 3 jobs to survive. And this verse mentions merchants, international trade organization of some type. America has made many other nations rich, natural resources, culture, technological innovation. The dollar, the international currency, the reserve currency of the world. Full of satanic symbolism and imagery. You know this. Everybody's seen it. All the New World Order and Freemasonry symbols all over the dollar bill.
time to take a break now. We will be back with more of Jackson Snyder Presents right after the following interruptions.
Okay?
Then is now. Jackson Snyder Presents is back.
In particular, oil traded in petrodollars. The United States will do anything to protect the status of the dollar as the world's reserve currency, up to and including all-out war. Without it, our economy would collapse. It's surprising it hasn't anyway, but the only reason it hasn't is because other nations basically absorb our debt. So no matter how much debt we pile up, the other nations take the hit every time. You know, and even though we struggle to pay it, the other nations have to pay it. They have no choice because it's all traded in dollars. Oh, can you go back one?
Sorry.
All nations. Oh, then you go ahead. And I heard another voice from heaven. This is the key verse of the whole book, really, to us, especially this chapter. It's like, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and receive not of her plagues. Think about the World Trade Center towers. What did everybody come out of her? We're to escape these, especially first the religions of the world, okay? And this whole economic system. It's going to come crashing down.
Where are we
All right? That you receive not of her plagues, okay? And it's almost as you think of the people running, abandon the current economic, political, and particularly religious institutions. Turn toward our true L. This includes all forms of Christianity was becoming completely corrupted and apostate. We need to flee from these organizations as if we were trying to escape from those burning buildings on 9/11, okay? Because they will collapse.
Ready?
Yeah. There's a picture. Go ahead. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and El hath remembered her iniquities. The plume of smoke from the World Trade Center towers could even be seen from outer space and could be equated with the sin. Okay, so even from the heavens, just all 9/11, you know, it was based on a big lie. You know, and people inside our government knew or should have known, and maybe even had plans and helped set up the thing. And these images were captured by the astronaut on the International Space Station. And there's another picture. Reward her as she rewarded you, and double unto her double. Double. 2 of them. This should be obvious. 2 buildings is fallen. Even more evidence. John is talking about twin towers. Twice as many people died in the North Tower, even though it was hit near the top. Fill it up to her double. Okay, the South Tower was hit closer to the middle, even though it fell first. So the one kind of killed twice as many, and was filled up to double when the planes hit. How much torment, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. She hath saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. Well, not that day. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death in the morning and famine. She shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. The entire event happens in one day, 6 days before the Hebrew New Year, on the first year of the 3rd Christian millennium. Remember, the first year of the millennium was 2001. 6 days before the Hebrew New Year. Okay? The reign of Yahshua is to begin on the 3rd day. 2 millennia have passed since he was killed. This is Satan's answer to the coming kingdom of Yah. He stands in defiance of the coming kingdom, and he's intent on setting up his own kingdom. He's saying, I ain't going nowhere. You know, you're not dragging me off to hell. I'm going to stay right here. And he's going to embark on a scorched earth policy. He's not going to give up without a fight. That's for sure. Kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall beware her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Due to modern technology, the entire world witnessed as this event unfolded. It would not have been impossible even a decade before that. We had the CNN and all the news organizations. Could not have been fulfilled until present time, not even conceived in John's time. All countries, even traditional adversaries and enemies of America set aside, offered condolences after 9/11. The entire world stood in shock. And, of course, even seen from outer space. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour, there's the hour time. You can't get any plainer than that. The buildings fell an hour after they were hit. People had to stand back from getting hit by the dead bodies. One firefighter was even killed. Okay? Standing afar off for the fear. Remember when they collapsed? If you were standing close, you were going to die. Okay? And it made, the smoke made people sick. The time frame of an hour is mentioned again. I can't think of any conceivable scenario which could account for a 1 hour time frame. Okay? And think how late in the game we are, folks. You know this is coming. You know we're in the last days. Right? What else could fulfill all this? All this stuff. Okay? What else can you think of? All right? So, and like I say, a nuclear bomb would be instantly, whereas an earthquake would be over in seconds. The 1 hour time frame, very specific. Repeated 2 more times later in the chapter. Go. The merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. No man shall buy their merchandise anymore. Okay, it caused a major crash on Wall Street. The markets recovered, but it caused another economic crash in September 2008. This was even worse. Yes, and in fact, we're still having unsolvable problems in the economy with people being unemployed, underemployed. Okay, people having a hard time getting by. While the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Everybody knows that, especially in this room. Okay. The economy, okay, we'll go verses 12 to 15, details various articles. We don't need to go over them one by one. We can keep going. We're almost done, folks. Saying, alas, alas, that great city, clothed in fine linen, scarlet and purple, bedecked with gold, precious stones and pearls. 1 hour again, great riches come to naught. Okay, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors. Okay, and think of how, if you know anything about the Manhattan and everything, there's waterways all through there. It's like a maze, where you can see it from all around. It's like an amphitheater. Everybody saw this, okay? And you have to ask, it says, where does it say? What city is like this great city? What city is like New York City, okay? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, alas, that great city. For in 1 hour, again, 1 hour. Anybody remember all the dust? They cast dust on their heads. That's not even a custom. People in the Western Hemisphere don't even do that anymore. Okay? Third reference to the 1 hour time frame. Okay? There's a picture of the people with the dust on their heads. All right? Rejoice over her, heaven and holy apostles, for God hath avenged you and her. A mighty angel took, this is very interesting, by the way, took a stone like a great millstone, cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon being thrown down and bent, shall be found no more at all. A millstone used to grind grain into flour. Action of the falling towers, ground the buildings, including all human remains, into dust, just like a millstone. Buildings were literally thrown down, possibly even by explosives in addition to gravity. The sea of humanity depicted in the falling water, okay, plunging into the abyss, hell. This would be representative of believers, especially of Yah, Okay, and there's with the millstone, okay. Go ahead. You can skip. That's other verses. Well, maybe. And I had a bunch of pictures, but I think everybody's had enough. I don't know what happened to it, huh?
It's been great. Their chicken man's up again.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to all my pictures. Thank you. I was going to show 9/11 in pop culture. That before, and literally all these movies and everything, movies especially, before the event, it was literally everywhere. And how did that happen? That has anybody ever seen that? All the kind of crazy stuff. The Simpsons. I wish I had the pictures there.
Terminator has caution 9/11 on the overpass.
Yeah, I had all that in there. I don't know what happened. He might have got the wrong version. But the thing is, okay, human beings really I don't say they're not smart enough, but they're not going to. They don't really know about 9/11. It's not like a bunch of people. If you know about Back to the Future, 9/11 symbolism is all over that movie. There's no way people would have ever done that. This was Satan working on people's minds. He was telegraphing. In fact, even back to Nostradamus. Nostradamus makes a prediction. Sounds exactly like 9/11. Quatrain 1072. He made predictions about 9/11, I believe. Okay? But remember, that's not a prophet of our L. That was, but the fact is that evil forces and fallen angels, they have certain knowledge of events in the future. Okay, so they can, to a certain amount, predict and even cause things to happen. Okay, so that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
There is a woman named Dr. Woods, and she talks about how they likely use Tesla technology to vaporize or dustify the buildings. She's bringing up the interesting fact that a lot of the people that jumped out of the windows to their death, it's like there are 3,000 people that died that day, but 1,000 of them jumped to their death, which is really unusual. And there was like cell phone calls of people talking about how hot they were, even though they weren't near the fire. They were saying like they're taking their clothes off, talking about how hot they are. They jump, and when they hit the ground, the firefighters were distraught because there was no bodies to pick up. People were exploding when they were hitting the ground. So you're finding teeth and fingers and body parts all over the place.
Yeah.
What they were saying is that it was likely used like some sort of Tesla energy where they actually justified and used microwaves. And that's why like there was a quarter where they like make asphalt or concrete, and that was registering, but the fall of the building didn't register like in the seismic activity.
Some of the things I put in here didn't get into, like about the 7,000 people being killed. I think we might have skipped over that. They only reported 3,000 people. Jackson says it's a symbolic number. I think it might actually include other people that maybe died afterward because of the toxic dust. Something else. It's like they have the ball theory. You ever heard the ball theory? That one of the before the second plane hit, it looked like a ball coming toward the building, like a minute before. They actually didn't mean to film it, but it got in the picture, and it looked like a round ball. And also in Building 6, there's this round hole in the building, and they can't figure out what happened. Okay, and that also can go back to the Borg. Does anybody ever remember the Borg episode where they destroy the Borg ship and it shoots out this little ball and it infects the whole planet Earth?
Well, it says the ball goes back into time.
Yeah, and they have this ball theory, So I mean, we're talking kind of crazy here, And at what point have you gotten so far into the Twilight Zone? You're like, I mean, I could never believe this had happened, but I've got to say that, there's things the more time goes by, the more stuff comes out about 9/11 that's otherworldly. That there's no explanation for it. And to go beyond anything you think our government had. I mean, this wasn't a bunch of Muslims with box cutters. Maybe they were there as fall guys, but there's a lot more involved here as far as what was used to bring down these buildings and to crash into them. We don't know if the people were ever on these planes. 2 of the planes they don't even think ever took off. There's no record of them having flights. The one in Dulles and one other one. They don't know what happened. I mean, it's pretty obvious a plane didn't hit the Pentagon. Something else hit the Pentagon. And I know somebody, one of my friends said, no plane ever hit that building. He told me. He was there.
I knew the foreman who moved the work crew from that section of the building. And I tried to get him, I talked to him, I says, well, you don't have to tell me anything. He was very cagey about answering my questions. I knew the actual foreman that moved it over the other side. And I didn't get a straight answer out of him.
And that's the thing. And for 5 years, I wouldn't believe any of the conspiracy theories because I said, to pull something off like this, you'd have to convince like hundreds, if not thousands of people to go along with it. And then all these people are coming out and saying this just stuff this ain't adding up. And anybody involved with it didn't want to talk about anything. And then, a lot of people just kind of disappear and dying.
I might remind you, this all came out in '98. This whole theory of planes crashing into the...
Well, I just went over that. Part of my presentation was going to be all the foreshadowing of it. You said somebody actually wrote a story.
I did.
You did.
I wrote a story in '98 about this very thing because it was coming out in the news all over the place that this plan had been leaked from Osama bin Laden. But nobody paid any attention to it. Somebody picked it up on the wire and wrote a little bit about it. And I thought, look, that's the way it could happen.
Yeah.
And I was living in Venice, Florida, and right across the street from where I live, and all those guys were in flight school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You mean the hijackers?
Going up and down.
You mean the hijackers?
The hijackers were
Yeah.
in flight school there, riding bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
It's just-
Yeah. Well, the fact is,
fishy.
you know, so many things are fishy about it. I mean, you know, the fact that guy could, you know, you would even think that guy could supposedly, why would somebody originally when the Flight 77 out of Dulles gets hijacked, it goes northward like it's headed up, and I thought it was going to bomb Tower 7 if you look at it. Then it goes back westward, disappears from radar over the Ohio border, and an hour later it miraculously pops back up, and the guy, he doesn't just fly into the Pentagon, he flies over the Pentagon, they say, does a 330-degree loop while descending, and hits the Pentagon dead on, and most experienced pilots say not even they could do that maneuver. You know? And there's so many unexplainable things about 9/11. It's in the twilight zone. And I don't really like to get into the conspiracy theories because I'm not an expert on that, really. I just know that there's a connection here. And, you know, I want people to start thinking about things in biblical terms. This kind of like isn't the end game. This is like the warning. You know, we're being warned, and you got to think about that. And then once you realize you're being warned, what are you being warned about and from whom? And David and I talked about the duality. It's a warning from the El up above, and it's also a warning from the God of this world, Hasatan. It's just as much his warning as from above. And that's why a lot of these verses can be interpreted either way. One's warning that, you know, there's going to be a tough time coming up, and the other one's warning that I ain't letting go of this world. This is my planet, and okay, he banished me to the earth, that's fine, but this world is mine, and I'm not giving. That's what he's saying. He's saying that it's going to be my planet, and he must want it to be, I guess, a Muslim planet. But whatever he wants, he ultimately wants the human race enslaved. Because if you go back and you look at, say, the works of Sitchin, I don't know how many people are even familiar with or how much you believe him, but he talks about our human race that was ruled by the gods, and they enslaved the human race. And Satan and all his little demigods, they want to come back and they want to enslave us, just like the Borg. And think about things like the Matrix, okay? They had that guy Keanu Reeves, and he was in a tub of slime. You know, he thought he was living a regular life, and it was all a dream. It was all a computer program. Yeah. You know? And think of the weird things that are happening, you know? And we only have one way that we can get out of here. We can attain the next level, and that's Yahshua. He's the one who paved the way, who showed the way, he died. My interpretation is he did not die for our sins. Our own death pays for our sins. He died so that we could have eternal life, so that we can escape this enslavement of the human race. And by accepting the gift, you know, if you accept it, you have to be willing to go all the way. You better be willing to go all the way to the cross, to the guillotine, you know, to the firing squad, because it might come down to that. And that's what you have to think about. This is not just a matter of obeying a set of laws or anything. It's a commitment with your entire life, everything you've got, you know, because it may come down to it. And I could talk all night, I guess, but everybody's getting tired. Been 2 hours.
You're doing a great job of entertaining.
Well, I mean, if anybody else has questions, or if y'all want to leave, or talk about it some more. I mean, what I hope I've done more than is plant a seed into your minds, and that you'll think about this, because we're going to be working on some more videos. I'm going to explain, and one of the things I'm going to explain is how 9/11 ended 6,000 years. We can go back and figure out what's happened over those 6,000 years, and maybe a little about what's coming down the road in the next 2,000. Okay, so it's an 8,000 year timeline. Maybe it's only 7,000, but I think it's 8 because Abraham circumcised on the 8th day, and the 8th day would be when maybe those lucky enough will be achieve the next level. We don't have to worry about these earthly bodies anymore. Okay, and we may have opportunity to live in the millennial kingdom. And as far as the prophecies go, that's when the earth's going to be restored. We might have the earth virtually destroyed in the next 30, 40 years. We don't know. I'd love to see the human race all come to Yeshua and we all stand down. Why couldn't that happen? And start right here. This doesn't have to end in a scorched earth. Right. We can just tell Satan to go to hell, as far as I'm concerned. But that depends on us. But there has to be a group. There has to be a little tiny small remnant. Okay, there's always going to be that remnant. If we're the remnant and nobody wants to listen and we have to die for what we believe, then we die. And that's what people have to accept.
It's one thing to die. It's one thing the way we're living. We're living in a golden age here. It's one thing to talk about this, but if you're in Egypt or Sudan...
Yes, they're already experiencing it. Right. It's coming to us. We can see it coming this way. It's like a tidal wave.
About life. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
I'm not under any
yeah, it's not here yet, but we don't know how fast it could come on us. We've got a president who... you heard the interview with Donald Trump. The guy he thinks the guy's a Muslim. Okay? And I showed, I'm not going to say, because I can't read the man's heart and his mind.
Read his actions.
I'm not going to judge him. I understand his actions.
He keeps Ramadan.
Well, just the Freedom Tower.
Muslim holiday. He's got them all in there.
He claims to be a Christian. I don't know. I'm not going to judge him. I let other people can think what they want. I'm up here giving the speech.
Islam.
I don't want to go out and accuse somebody I don't know for a fact. But
I'll strike it out.
It doesn't matter.
There's a mosque right down the street. There are probably plants in here someplace.
It could be. I'm not worried about it. If I have to give my life, I'm more than ready, willing, and able to do so.
That's it.
And that's the attitude you have to have. It's like, I'm not going to hide from this. I'm going to speak out in bold, plain colors. And nobody's going to shut me up. If I have to go to jail or I have to have my life ended.
Don't go to the hospital, they will kill you.
And that's the attitude you have to have. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Give him a round. He deserves it.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Excellent.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
That was a lot better than I even thought.
Really?
We've been talking about this for a year and a half.
I told you it would be good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so when's the second part's coming up?
Well, I'm going to do what I can for the second part. I've just started working on it. And it's going to be a little more bare bones. I'm going to try to cover what happened in the first century and how we got where we are today. But to go through 8,000, I've told you this thing, it unlocks the great chronology, the puzzle. This is the key. 9/11 is the key. You can use it as an anchor date. You know that 6,000 years of history ended on this day. Okay? It happened on the Christian New Millennium, 6 days before the Jewish New Year.
Thank you, John Schoon. Awful lot of work went into these seminars, and we've got another couple coming up. I want to say to our listeners that in the Yahad, we write our doctrine in pencil and eraser. And if you've been listening to this program much, you know that I think that the revelation has been fulfilled up to chapter 19. However, the Yahad entertains any interpretation that is backed up by scholarly research, and we listen intently, and we take notes, and we confirm or disconfirm what is said. This is a lot different than about any other Hebrew Roots type ministry, because we're a think tank. We're trying to get to the bottom of things. We're trying to find truth, and we're willing to entertain and judge any theory of biblical interpretation, just as long as the presenter has done the research has done the scriptural exploration and affirms one thing, that Yahshua is indeed the Messiah and that Yahweh is the Father. John has been chomping at the bit for a year and a half to present his interpretation, and at this international get-together for Sukkot 2015, he had his opportunity. And despite it being somewhat far out, it was listened to with attention and passed on now to you Yahadites all over the world for your own analysis, adjudication, and entertainment. Or should I say, entertainment.